Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Caitlin. I read books and then drink boba. This month I read 12 books and I DNF'd 3. I lost the dust jacket. I'm going to put the cover right here. A short film about disappointment by Joshua Matson. This is about a near future America and our main character, Noah Body. That's his first name is Noah. His last name is Body. He writes film reviews that nobody reads, so he ends up divulging in weird information about his life in these film reviews. He develops a weird relationship with his therapist, and I believe his best friend or his ex-best friend stole his wife. And so now whenever he thinks about committing violent acts against his ex-best friend, his whole face will freeze. I thought it was underwritten. It was kind of boring. Not much of a plot, and I'm okay with books that are more about character development and being, but there wasn't really a lot of that going on either. It's kind of hard to explain my thoughts on this book because, again, I didn't finish it. It's really just I wasn't enjoying it, so I stopped. I read maybe the first 2 chapters. The Pleasure of My Company by Steve Martin. It's about a man named Daniel, unknown age, who is like a weird freak. Again, not much of a plot, just kind of a character study, but I don't really care for a character study if the characters are boring and they suck. The last book I did not finish is Empty, a memoir by Susan Burton. I got 100 pages in and I had to stop. I don't know, it was just really repetitive and kind of self-indulgent and not in a helpful way. Let's talk about the books that I did finish. Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. Yeah, I thought this was really, really fun. I really liked their friendship. I liked both of the characters. My only critique is that sometimes the writing was a little cringy. I know Gen Z loves to use the word cringe about everything, but you know, if the shoe fits. Yeah, so I gave this 4 stars though. Okay, the next book I read was Funny Story by Emily Henry. I listened to this on audiobook. You know, these spurned exes who become roommates and then they start fake dating despite their exes, and then of course they fall in love. And it was really fun. I had a good time. I loved Miles, the main love interest. He is dreamy. When they kiss for the first time, I was literally like kicking my legs and like giggling. So yeah, I recommend it. I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I read is Justine, or The Misfortunes of Virtue by the Marquise de Sade. If you're wondering why, I read Venus in Furs recently, and that is the book that inspired the term masochism. And obviously the term sadism is named after the Marquise de Sade. So I thought it would be interesting to read a book by him. So basically this book is about an orphaned girl named Justine, and she has a very strong sense of morals, but everybody else in France is a perverted degenerate. So this was basically like 200 something pages of just like a girl being abused. And I think for the first 50 pages, I actually did enjoy it because I was kind of reading it as a satire. But then it became incredibly repetitive. And I found Justine really annoying. I wonder if I can share anything that I tabbed. So near the beginning of the book, she is sexually assaulted by just this like random guy. And later in the book, he writes her a letter that's like, hey, come over to my house. I want to ask you something. Yes, there's no doubt that he is remorseful, and I would be guilty in the eyes of the Supreme Being if I did not consent to alleviate his remorse. Delusional. So yeah, anyway, I could not recommend this book to anybody, ever. I also don't think I'll ever read another Marquis de Sade. And if you see me, if you catch me reading Juliet by him, don't ask questions. Something is wrong. Next, I read Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessl. As you can see, I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This is one of my new favorite books of all time. Marisha Pessl is one of my favorite authors. So this is a dark academia. It's about a teenage girl named Blue Van Meer. Her and her father move to a new town, and she starts a new school. Something bad happens, and Blue tries to uncover the truth behind it. I will say that it's not going to be for everyone, and despite, it being a mystery, I would not go into this wanting a mystery. This is a very slow paced book that is not very plot heavy. It's really more character based. It is written in the style of a textbook. So we've got core curriculum, required reading, and there are 3 parts, and each chapter is named after a book, a famous book, and whatever the chapter is about loosely relates to the themes of the book it's named after. And fun fact, one of the chapters is named Justine by the Marquis de Sade. So I thought that was a really weird coincidence. The next book I read was Assembly by Natasha Brown. The narrator is an unnamed Black British woman, and you really look into the lens of what it's like being a Black British woman. So it's a very quick read. And I don't want to say too much about it because I think you should just read it knowing as little as possible, but it's really well written. I would definitely recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. I read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This was kind of ass. It's about a girl who leaves a 1-star review for this guy's book, so he finds her and tries to kill her. It's real goofy. So Taylor Adams wrote No Exit, which is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. And I was shocked at how his writing has regressed. This book is not nearly as good. The characters aren't as developed. The plot twists were really obvious. It was honestly a little stupid. It was fun, though, and I think that's what he was going for. But it is odd how different the quality of writing The Last Word and No Exit are, at least in my opinion. The Last Word kind of felt like if you gave Riley Sager crack cocaine and a 24-hour deadline, this is the product. But I think if you're in a reading slump, this would get you out of it because it is very page-turny. So I gave it 2 stars. Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. This is a memoir. It's mainly about her relationship with her mother and her Korean American identity. This was a hard read for me. I related a lot to her life and her relationship with her mother and everything she was going through. I definitely cried a lot reading this. I would recommend it, but I did not rate it because too close to the subject material to be able to give a objective rating, if that makes sense. Next, I read Monsters by Claire Derderer. This is nonfiction. It is about what do we do with good art made by bad people? And I put air quotes around about because at some point the author forgets that's what the book is about and just delves into a pseudo-memoir about how she wants to become a great writer and write an ambitious novel, and how she overcame alcoholism, and is she a good mother? She's not sure. So it's kind of all over the place, and I know that Claire Derderer is a memoirist, so that's what she's comfortable with. but that's not what the book is supposed to be about. That's not what it's marketed as, so I was pretty disappointed. She also never answers the question that she posed. It kind of just ends with, I don't know. Nobody knows, so I'm gonna go watch Annie Hall now. She has an entire chapter about if we should read Nabokov's work because he wrote Lolita, and somebody who could write Lolita might be a pedophile. She quotes Kanye West several times in the book without mentioning anti-Semitic things that he has said in the past. So she kind of just nitpicks on who is an art monster. I don't know. I don't feel like I got anything from reading this book. So I gave it 2 stars, which is kind of generous, and I don't recommend it to anybody. Next, I read We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I really like this. I gave it 4 stars. This is a classic book. It follows Maricat. She lives with her agoraphobic sister and her uncle, and they live in a big mansion, and everyone in the town hates them because her entire family was poisoned several years ago, and her sister was arrested but acquitted for murder, and they believe that she got away with it. The writing style is just so unique and beautiful. I really enjoyed this, and I want to read more of Shirley Jackson's book. Next, I read The Lost Daughter by Elena Ferrante. This was a very short book about motherhood, and I went into this book blind, and I recommend anyone who reads it does the same. I will say that it's not plot heavy. It's really just a character study about mothers and what it means to be an apathetic mother. And I found it unsettling, but it was very well written, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I read Grief is a Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. It's about a man and his 2 sons, and he recently lost his wife, and a talking crow who can sense grief visits them and stays with them until he feels like they no longer need him. Yeah, I thought it was really unique. I thought it was well written. I think I gave it 4 stars. Okay, and the last book I read was Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. He did deviate from his normal formula. The main character is a man, and he has both of his parents, and they're in a great relationship, and there isn't a sexy handyman character, so, you know, that's cool. And also, it's a lot slower paced than the rest of his books. I would say the first half of the book is exposition, which is crazy, and then shit hits the fan in the second half. There are a lot of plot twists and red herrings, and I did see almost all of them coming, and the ones that I didn't, I thought were stupid. It was just okay. I gave it 2.5 stars. I wouldn't recommend it. There are other thrillers that are better. He has other thrillers that are better. Those are all the books I read in July. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.